Good morning, and thank you for joining us for the 2024 Mideastern Athletic Conference weekly football coaches video call. I am Elise Scripter, Director of Strategic Communications for the Mideastern Athletic Conference, and I will serve as moderator and co-host of today's question and answer session. Before we begin, I would like to go over today's procedures. The conference will begin with the weekly notes featuring conference highlights, upcoming events, and weekly accolades. Afterwards, we will ask each head coach questions about the previous matchups, the upcoming games, followed by questions from the media. To ask a question, simply click the raise hand feature and remain muted until you are introduced. And now for the MEAC weekly notes. In women's volleyball action, Howard remains undefeated at 9-0 in MEAC play and 16-5 overall, riding a 10-match win streak. Coppin State and Delaware State sit tied for second at 7-2 in the standings after the Hornets went 2-0 over the weekend with wins over Coppin State Eagles and the Morgan State Bears. Norfolk State and Maryland Eastern Shore women's volleyball are tied for fourth in the standings with a 4-5 conference record. The MEAC Volleyball Championship Tournament is November 22nd to 24th in Dover, Delaware, hosted by Delaware State. Cross-country teams had an off week this past weekend as they prepare for the MEAC Cross-Country Championship race this weekend on November 2nd. The race will be held in Smyrna, Delaware, with Delaware State as the host institution. The men's race begins at 11 a.m. with the women following at 12 noon. Both races will be broadcast on ESPN Plus for the very first time. And women's bowling is now underway, and last week, North Carolina A&T State swept the weekly awards. Chloe Newberry and Victoria White were named Bowler and Rookie of the Week, respectively, for their performances at the Delaware Orlando tournament. That concludes the weekly notes. And joining me as co-host throughout the season is executive producer of the MEAC Digital Network, Mr. Lynn Thompson. Welcome, Lynn, and thank you for being here with me. Let's talk MEAC football.
Okay, Elise, let's talk MEAC football. Good morning to you, and good morning to everyone out there on the call this morning. This is our 10th video conference of this 2024 season, and we've got a lot to share and talk about this morning because this weekend was truly a MEAC family affair weekend with all 6 teams in action, and the stakes finally were at an all-time high because every game now counts towards the MEAC crown. And the backdrop was homecoming at each one of those games on the respective campuses. I know everybody's ready to talk about it. You got to get your questions lined up for the coaches. So let's begin right now. Our first interview of the morning is with the head coach of the Howard University Bison, Coach Larry Scott. Coach, how you doing this morning? Good to see you.
Yes, sir. Doing well, man. How you doing?
I'm good, Coach. You said last week it was going to be tough going into Dick Price Stadium to face a hungry Norfolk State University football team, and it was.
Yeah.
The Bison, a heartbreaking 1-point loss to the Spartans on their homecoming weekend. Let's talk about the Bison, their performance, including special teams.
Yeah, I think you just hit it right on the head. These games are going to come down to possessions. I showed our team last year, how it kind of worked out. And when, a lot of our wins last year were about one possession. But not only us, I showed them different things from around the NFL. And when you talked about championship football, college football teams that have won national titles, and just how close these games come down to. And they come down to possession games, and they come down to plays. You don't know what play could be the play that makes a difference, that can, make or break the game. We found that out the hard way this past Saturday, even after sharing that. We give up a kickoff return, we miss a field goal. We had all of the opportunities to come away with a win, and just didn't capitalize on them. And therefore, in this type of football, when everybody's playing their best football, you're getting everybody's best shot. Those critical areas could end up, not favoring you, and that's what happened this weekend.
Coach, you opened up the ball game in good style. Coach Deshaun Stroggins was the core of the offense, 268 total yards, including taking one to the house on the opening drive. Talk about the play of your quarterback and the way your offense moved the ball.
Yeah, I think we're still, as crazy as that may sound, going through, you get into this late in the season, and you're still, working to find that identity truly of who you are offensively. And he was named the starting quarterback at the beginning of the year. played in 2 games, then missed 3 games, and then we had a bye week. So really, in essence, last weekend was Jay Sean still just true fourth start as the starting quarterback, and so he found the rhythm. We found some things that I think fits what his skill set is right now, and we'll continue to build upon those. But was very happy with the way he responded after last week's game, and what he did this week with being 16 of 21, being very efficient in the passing game. Seeing he did turn the ball over one time in the red zone there, which was a critical turnover. As points were a premium at that point in time in the game, and when you lose a game by 1 point, you can point right back to all those situations. A turnover in the red zone, a missed field goal, a kickoff return given up for a touchdown, and there you have the game. But was very encouraged by his play coming out of this week, and then hopefully we're in control of our own destiny now. For real. Truly, and you got to find a way to win each week. So we'll keep building on what those strengths are for him to give us.
Well, this week, Coach, you go home, you host Delaware State. Delaware State comes in smarting from a loss in Orangeburg, South Carolina. Let's talk about this matchup, because you don't have much time at all to commiserate on the loss in Norfolk. You got a full speed ahead now, because you got a hungry bunch coming into DC to play you guys.
Everybody's vying for that spark. Everybody's vying for that, that win, and the whole object is to keep winning here down the stretch, and let that be the controlling element in how this thing all plays out. But the only way for it to play out in any favor of you got to win. So we know we got a football team that's coming in here vying for that, hungry for that. Going to give it the best shot at obtaining that. So each and every week is not going to be any different. With being in MEAC play, that you're going to have to be playing your best football. You're going to have to be focused, dialed in, detailed, and understand what it means to play at an elite high level each and every week. And that starts with your preparation. That starts with how you practice. So it's a singular game focus, during this stretch. And right now, that's all we're focused on is mustering up and finding a way to build up to get a win this weekend.
Okay, Coach, we got a couple of hands raised. Elise, take it away. You got some media guys ready to talk to Coach.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Lynn. As a reminder to our media, please use the raise hand feature and remain muted until you're introduced. Our first questions for Coach Scott come from Nathaniel Henry Jr.
Good morning, Coach Scott. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing well, Nate. How you doing?
Great. Nathaniel Henry, Howard University, sports media. Coach, there's a lot of familiarity between the two schools, speaking of Delaware State, and it's always a highly competitive game. What can we expect on Saturday when the two meet for a crucial conference game?
Well, I think you just said it, a highly competitive football game that can go either way. Like I said before, you don't know what play is going to make a difference in the game. So with it being that way, with it being heightened that way, you're going to get everybody shot, and everybody's going to come in and do the best as best they can to play the best football that they can. And what we got to do is control the controllables, control our preparation, control how we're going to attack the game, and go play our style of football for 4 quarters, all the way to there's no time left on the clock to give ourselves a chance to win.
Thank you. Good luck. Good luck this weekend.
Thanks, Nate. Appreciate it.
Our next questions for Coach Scott come from Dwayne Nash.
I'm sorry about that. Was still on mute. Coach, good morning. This is Dwayne Nash from the Yard HBCU Sports.
Good morning, Dwayne. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. First question, real quick. I noticed that your team has gotten the penalties down from game to game throughout the year, but there's been kind of another bugaboo with your program, and it's something that you've talked about for the past few seasons. That's been the special teams play. How do you go about addressing special teams gaffes throughout the year and trying to eliminate that thing as the season continues?
Dwayne, you're right. I think it speaks to the discipline of the team, and what you try to do is in a lot of those situations, you try to plug some of your young guys that are like backups, mostly on defense or the offensive side of the ball, and give them an opportunity to go out and play and do those things. And sometimes we're having to learn the hard way with some of these young guys that are talented but are learning. And what is not the penalties right now that are hurting us. It's the situations in which some of them are occurring. And guys understanding that focus and understanding the attention to detail and little things like that are coming up and popping up and hurting us at at critical times in the game. You know, we have a kickoff return for a touchdown, and the next time we go out, well, we give up major field position because of unsportsmanlike conduct call. So it's just like just teaching these young guys that are plugged into those spots that are kind of showing up and kind of hurting us in critical situations. So some of it's kind of the growing pains of having these opportunities pop up, what you can teach. Obviously, you teach them beforehand, and you talk about it to you in the face, and you show them, and you give them examples of things not to do. But when they get out there and they're playing, you know, full speed and bullets are flying, things happen, and so some of those guys in those positions, they can't hurt us. They got to help us as you know the depth of the team and be able to contribute to, you know, the overall success of a program and what we're doing. But yeah, you're right. In some of those critical situations, those things have popped up to hurt us, and we just got to keep teaching, keep educating them through it, and hopefully eliminate it.
And since the conference has been knocked down to 6 teams, it's very difficult to win a conference championship with more than one loss. How do you get your team to, or even your coaching staff, to not panic throughout the rest of the season as you're looking to win another championship?
You know, Dwayne, take a look at what happened last year. We're no different than where we were last year at this time. We were a 3-5 football team. We had won one conference game, had lost at South Carolina State, and found a way to will our way to a championship by winning the rest of them. I don't think there's going to be, there's been many cases where a team has had one loss and won this conference. You go back and you check it and do a little research. Now there's no tiebreakers. It all comes down to head-to-head. The only thing that you can do to continue to control your own destiny is to win. And even with where we are right now, just win. And if you go back and fact check and do all the things, just win. And you'll have an opportunity here when you look up. So that's just the focus. I don't get into the whole, it's hard to do with one. And if you're not motivated just naturally to be a competitor and play football and win and all those type of things, you got the wrong people anyway, whether that's coaches, whether that's players, any of those things. And so it's a lot of life lessons that come from these situations too, Dwayne. So we don't even use that rhetoric that you just used right there in the questioning of how do you keep people motivated? How do you keep people into it and going? If you don't naturally have competitive people around you and surround yourself with that type of people and recruit those type of people and have those type of people around you and in your program, you're not going to give yourself a chance anyway. That's front running. And the one thing we will not do in this program is be front runners and all of those type of things. We want people that face adversity head on, compete our tails off each and every time we got an opportunity to do that, because we're also building men here. So it's not about winning football games. So at the end of the day, that rhetoric or that train of thought is not even mentioned or discussed in this program.
All right. Thanks so much, Coach. Good luck this week.
Thank you.
Our next questions for Coach Scott come from James Hill.
Hey, Coach, how are you and everyone in Washington this morning?
Doing well, James. How you doing?
I'm blessed. Mr. Scroggins, 16 of 21 for 159, 1-1. He also rushed for 109, and he scored one on the ground. Talk a little bit about his contribution, and when you look back at the Norfolk game, what are some of the positive takeaways?
Well, you saw some growth in him. Like I said, it was his truly fourth college football start as a quarterback. So, you know, saw a lot of growth in him. I mean, a fifth start, but saw a lot of growth in the process of building what your quarterback needs to be and how to play and protecting the football. We still turned it over one more time, which has been very uncharacteristic of who we are as a team. But when you're going through some of those growing pains with, you know, a young quarterback and a couple of young receivers out there getting on the same page and those type of things, you know, some of that happens, and then you have to be able to overcome it. And there's been a couple of situations where we haven't been able to overcome it. This past weekend being one of them, with the turnover that occurred in a 2-minute drive, you know, in the red zone. That's a critical situation, and it obviously, you know, didn't play out in our favor. And then you give up a kickoff return and all those things. So a couple of things that we weren't able to overcome, but was very pleased with his growth and his progress towards understanding what we're trying to do within the offense. And then it was, you know, a growth period for us as coaches and stuff like that too, settling into the things that he really do well and building, you know, what we're trying to do to attack defenses based on that. So it was a, you know, big time growth process for him, and hopefully he'll continue to do that each and every week here. He must do that each and every week here to give ourselves a chance.
Coach, the Bison championship DNA, another opportunity on Saturday. Delaware State University comes down 95. what would you like to see happen on Saturday, and what are you envisioning, looking forward to, without going into your schemes? What are you looking forward to about this game? And obviously MEAC, and it's very important.
You talked about it right away. Identity. I want to see us play truly who we are. And one of the things we build it around here, we talk about play great defense. At the end of the day, I want to see us go out and play really good defense. Offensively, not put the defense in bad situations so that they continue to play good defense. Score one more. I don't care what the score is. If it's a 2-3 ball game, just find a way to score one more than the other team. And then we got to see some big time improvement in our kicking game, whether that's the kicks and coverage and all of those type of things. So I want to see us play truly to our identity. And if we do that, it'll be good enough to propel us to where we want to go. But we have to execute. We have to stay focused. We have to stay dialed in and play to the true identity of what we are and how we're built around here.
All right, Coach. Have a wonderful week.
Thank you.
That concludes all of our media questions for Coach Scott at this time. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. See you next week.
Yes, sir. Howard welcomes Delaware State on Saturday, November 2nd at Green Stadium in Washington, D.C. Kickoff is set for 1 p.m., broadcasting on ESPN+. Lynn, back over to you for our next interview.
Thank you so much, Elise. Our next interview of the morning is with the head coach of the North Carolina Central Eagles, Coach Trey Oliver. Good morning to you, Coach. How are you today?
Oh, I got you. Good morning, Lynn. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good, Coach. While a lot of folks may be surprised, you alluded to this past weekend being a very tough matchup for you and the Eagles, and based on the score, it was. The Eagles pulled out a hard-fought homecoming victory against Morgan State, 16-7, to go 2-0 in the MEAC title race. How do you assess the Eagles' performance this past weekend?
Yeah, you're right, Lynn. We've been. I had this game circled on the schedule since last season. Morgan took us to the wire and gave us all we wanted last year at their place. And we knew they had a lot of guys coming back, and they were a very physical and talented team. And just a lot of games about matchups, and they caused us some matchup problems. So I was messing with that Coach Wilson this offseason and told him I have my eyes on them. But I think they're one of the sleeper teams in the conference. I think they're obviously one of the better teams in the conference. But great atmosphere, man. It was packed out here, homecoming. It was an unbelievable experience. The crowd was engaged and involved. And I thought, it was a physical game, very physical football game. I thought we played well early. We had some drives going, but we just couldn't score. And that's the thing. You have to be able to stack plays on top of plays, and then, it's got to result in points. But we talked about special teams was going to be the difference in the game for us to really have a chance. And I thought we were solid in the kicking game. Juan Velarde, I think, had a 59-yard average punting, but we did miss a field goal and had a crazy roughing the punter call. So didn't play as well as I'd like to in the kicking game, but we were very, very fortunate to come out of there with the win.
Coach, Walker Harris and Jamari Taylor, they really stood out offensively this week, sort of kind of putting the team on their backs for the win. But talk about the leadership of these two young men outside of their performance on the field and for the Eagles offense.
Yeah, I thought Walker had another solid performance. I was very disappointed in the interception he threw. We thought we had somebody open and going through his progression. I thought we should have been able to hit the open man, but made a bad read, and their linebacker made a heck of a play. And that turnover turned into some points. So but Walker is a solid football player and is a great leader for us. And obviously Jamari Taylor, we ride him. So he had a great game rushing the football, had nearly 200 yards rushing, and was our leading receiver out of the backfield. But we had to try to get him involved in the passing game because our pass protection against those guys was rough. But it was good to see those guys come out with a good game as well.
Coach, you don't have a lot of time to get ready because you got to hit the road this week. You travel to South Carolina State in a nationally televised matchup this Thursday, Halloween. The Bulldogs have won the last 4 matchups. What are your thoughts about this week's opponent? You got to go to Orangeburg, South Carolina to play a red-hot South Carolina State Bulldog football team.
Yeah, they are red hot, and they're scoring a lot of points, playing well on defense in all 3 phases. But one thing about it's a short week for them as well. So we had the same time to prepare. You know, it was different. We had to have a full practice yesterday. Now, we never do that. Practice the day after a game. But it was one of the more spirited practices we had this past year. And the guys were excited, flying around, and very energetic. So, you know, this game is going to have a lot to do with coaching. You know, I think it's like look in the mirror. They got a great quarterback, great skill guys, play really good defense. But our coaching staff has to do a great job with in-game adjustments. Obviously, they're going to have some wrinkles. They had a bye week last week and had some time to prepare. So they're going to come up with some stuff we hadn't seen before. And if we stop it, they'll go back to what they, you know, traditionally do. If we don't stop it, we're going to see it for the rest of the game. So we got to do a great job of being able to adjust and make in-game adjustments to whatever we're seeing out there.
Okay, Coach. Well, congratulations on your win, going 2-0 now in league play. Hold on, Elise has some media questions lined up for you.
Thank you, Lynn. We do have some questions for Coach Oliver. As a reminder to the media, please use the raise hand feature and remain muted until you're introduced. Our first questions for Coach Oliver come from Chris Stevens.
Good morning, Coach Oliver. How are you?
I'm well, Chris. How are you?
Pretty good. I know you alluded to it just now with Lynn, but walk us through a shorter week in the life of a college football team and a coach. Like, what are the things that you have to move up a day or so to prepare for a Thursday game after playing on a Saturday?
We just moved the dates back. So yesterday, I don't even know what yesterday was.
Sunday.
Yesterday was Sunday?
Yeah.
All right, Sunday was our Tuesday practice. Today will be our Wednesday practice. Tomorrow is what day?
Tuesday.
Tuesday, that'll be our Thursday practice. And then we get on the road and travel on Wednesday, which is like a Friday. You got that?
I got it.
I don't have my calendar in front of me, man.
Yeah.
You come to work early and you leave late. That's all I know. But yesterday was a Tuesday practice. Today will be Wednesday. Tomorrow will be Thursday. And then we'll have a quick walkthrough and get on the road and head to Orangeburg.
If you've had a chance to, you know, at least advance, you know, scout South Carolina State, look at the tape, you know, as compared to when Coach Pugh was coaching last year as opposed to now what Coach Barry is doing, do you see much difference in that? I mean, obviously the players have changed, but has the scheme changed in your mind?
Well, you know, football is football. It's not so much you can do. You kind of have seen everything. So run game is somewhat similar. You know, players wise, no, it's a little different. When you bring your best top, however many, I don't know, 12 players, 15 from a championship program, Benedict, and then you put that with what they already had in South Carolina, in Orangeburg, they got an all-star team down there, man. So it's we're gonna have a work cut out. They've got some very, very good skill guys. Their receivers can fly. They've always been really good up front. And defensively, they have two defensive ends that are unbelievable. So we want to play.
And lastly, obviously, this game is going to be on ESPN2. So pretty much anybody with a feed is going to be able to see this game. Just how important is it for two of the better known programs in this conference to be able to display their talents and their programs in front of a national audience in a game that has huge conference implications?
It's great. I mean, you know, I always brag about our conference and the MEAC, and I think we play really good football. And you will be able to see two really talented teams, and I think two really great coach teams, well-coached teams. I have opportunity to line it up Thursday night under the lights in Orangeburg. So it's going to be an outstanding game to watch, and you know, we're looking forward to it. And I'm a competitor. I love, you know, the tough ones. And I know Coach Barry's going to have his guys ready to roll. And, you know, Coach and I are good friends. We were on staff together at Southern. So we're very familiar with each other and have a whole lot of similarities. So both of us competitors and we're looking forward to the matchup.
All right, Coach, thanks very much for your time. Best of luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Our next questions for Coach Oliver come from James Hill.
Hey, Coach, I hope you and everybody on campus are well. How are you, sir?
I'm well, James. I'm happy. I'm sad that homecoming ended. I wish we could have had like another day or two of that, but other than that, it's all good.
Awesome. Yeah, it's one of the best homecomings out there. I really enjoy it whenever I'm there. Talk a little bit about your defense. You guys actually shut Morgan out all the way until that fourth quarter, until that touchdown by Collins. But talk a little bit about the defensive effort of the Eagles.
Yes, you know, it starts up front, obviously, with stopping the run. And I thought we did a really good job of shutting the run down in the first quarter. Then they had a couple explosives after that. But it was, I told you, got some of the guys back, and I thought Jakai Bavar played a heck of a game, being very physical out there, our middle linebacker. Of course, Jaden Taylor played a solid game, and then it was really, really good to see Thomas Johnson, our defensive end, come back. So he'd been down all season, and we finally got him back. So, excuse me, he had, I think, 3 sacks this past weekend. So if we can get him in a little bit better game shape, hopefully we can get a little bit more out of him. But the defense had an outstanding performance, and that was one area of our football team that I thought has improved tremendously over the week. Early on, we struggled with the run game, and we tightened that up quite a bit. So still have some things we still got to correct and improve on, but it's just good to see us improving.
Coach, Thursday night, Halloween, the MEAC, college football, all the bells and whistles. You go into Orangeburg. Some teams like going on the road because they can focus. Us against the world mentality. There's less distractions. But talk a little bit about obviously the routine has been altered, but just going into an environment like that, and it's going to be, it makes for a beautiful game.
I don't like the us against the world mentality. I'd much rather be in Durham with Eagle Nation here, man. So I need the Eagle fans to come show up and keep some of these Bulldogs off of us. But our routine really doesn't change too much. We stay in a hotel every Friday night, whether it's a home game or a road game. Obviously the game was pushed up 2 days, Thursday night. These guys, we have a plan for everything we do. So the guys don't have a problem with adjusting. They're young. Whenever we tell them to be there, they're going to be. So they're just excited about having an opportunity to play football. But, it's a tough place to play. I don't think we've won down in Orangeburg since 2018. And, they've got some tough place to play, man. It really is. And they've got a great following, and they usually pack out their stadium.
Coach, in closing, when you look at the Bulldogs, what are you seeing from that team? Without giving out too much, what are you seeing so far from that ball club?
Same thing y'all see. They got 4 receivers that can fly. They got a very good quarterback. Their defensive front is very twitchy and athletic. They do a good job of getting pressure on the quarterbacks. I think they have about 22 sacks for the season. Like I said, the two defensive ends cause people problems. So it's kind of like looking in the mirror, especially on the offensive side of the ball with their skill players. And I think that we have some really good receivers, and we got some guys that can run. I always talk about our firepower, but it's like looking in the mirror. They got some guys on the perimeter that can make plays as well. So we've got to do a great job of keeping those guys in front of us and trying to eliminate explosive plays.
All right, Coach, have a great week, and we look forward to talking with you next week.
Yeah, thank you, James.
Our next questions for Coach Oliver come from Dwayne Nash.
Good morning, Coach. Dwayne Nash from the Yard HBCU Sports and Hero Sports. How are you this morning?
I'm well, Dwayne. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Playing on Thursday night is nothing new to you. However, like you said before, you're coming off of an extremely physical game against Morgan State. What's the current status of your players right now as you look to go to Orangeburg?
We're in about week, I guess, 8. So there's a lot of guys banged up, like everybody else in the country. So there's guys banged up. I don't know. I'll get the updated medical report this afternoon. But I don't know. We're fine. We got some 2s and 3s that can play too. So whoever's ready to roll will be ready to roll.
All right. And I heard I heard a commentator say this weekend, I can't remember what game it was, say that it's easier to coach after a loss than to coach during a win streak. Do you agree with that sentiment?
No, definitely not. No, nothing good come from losing. Nothing. So I'd much rather prepare my guys after a win and get ready for the next game. That's momentum and confidence and all of that good stuff. We practiced the day after homecoming, and I challenged my guys about being professionals, and you got to take care of your body Saturday night. Go out and have a good time, but take care of your body. We're going to have a full practice Sunday. And we had 100% show up for Doctor's Clinic at 10 o'clock that morning, and we had a great practice yesterday. So I don't think you have that type practice and energy after a loss, especially a homecoming loss. So it was very fortunate. We were fortunate to get that game, that win. And for me, I can't speak for anybody else. For me, I'm much rather coach these guys up after a win.
All right, thanks so much, Coach. Good luck this Thursday.
Yeah, thank you.
Our next questions for Coach Oliver come from Lute Williams.
Hey, good morning, Coach. How are you, man?
I'm well. Luke, how are you doing?
I'm fine. I heard you say after the game Saturday that you would know how to judge things based on how the guys showed up Sunday. And you kind of made reference to that already. So and I know you also made a statement before that after homecoming games in the last couple of years have been very dangerous in terms of guys with COVID and other kinds of things.
Right.
Talk a little bit about that.
Right. I'm sorry. Help me out. The first one. What's the first question?
Yeah, just saying you said about on Saturday.
Oh, the morning work. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Like I said earlier, I was impressed with the guys, being on time and everything early that morning. Obviously it's a whole lot of parties and a million people on campus. So, it's college, it's homecoming. They supposed to go out and have a good time. That's what it's all about. You deserve it. You won a game, a tough game. Go out and have a great time. But at the same time, and like I told them, it's my homecoming. Coach Oliver can't stay out all night. He got to show up for work the next day and have a clear mind. So it was good to see the energy in the building. Guys won't drag it and whatever they did, it would happen early, and they got some rest that night. Lastly, we got this bowl here, and everybody packs into the bowl, and it was like the last 2 years, COVID was going around and the flu was going around. So right now, everybody's good. We don't have any severe colds or flus or anything like that. 2 years ago, it was Norfolk State. We lost probably half of the offense. Half of our starters we lost going into the Norfolk State game in 22. And then last year going to Howard, our defense took the hit. And it was rough. So our doctors had the flu shots available for our team before homecoming. So we could go ahead and get a jump on that. But right now, everybody's good to go. And I don't care about it. They got to play this week, man. Sick or not, they got to go.
I got you. Good luck, Coach. Thanks, man.
Yeah, thanks.
That is all of our questions for Coach Oliver from the media at this time. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, guys.
North Carolina Central travels to South Carolina State on Thursday, October 31st at Oliver C. Dawson Stadium in Orangeburg, South Carolina. Kickoff is set for 7:30 p.m., airing on ESPN2. Lynn, over to you for our next interview.
Thanks so much, Elise. Coming up next, we've got the head coach of the Delaware State University Hornets, Lee Hall. Good morning, Coach. I see you there. Last week, you hit the road and you went to Orangeburg, South Carolina for the homecoming and the Bulldogs, and they couldn't miss. I mean, they were operating on all cylinders, and it was a difficult outing for the Hornets. The Bulldogs kind of put it away at the half. Let's talk about this football game and the Hornets.
Yeah, good morning, Lynn. Yeah, they were hitting all cylinders. They played a very good game. They came out fired up, and they scored on us early, and we had a couple opportunities in the first half, offensively, to score a couple more times, and we were down near the red zone, inside the 30, 25-yard line. Just couldn't punch it in, missed the field goal, and it got away from us a little bit. But I like how the way, we did fight. We came back, in the second half and scored, 3 touchdowns in the second half. So I like the way that we don't have any quit. It just got away from us early. Coach Barry's a good coach. He had his guys ready to go, and it was homecoming. It was a great environment. They were all fired up for homecoming. So we're just back to the drawing board.
Okay, Coach. Jaden Sutton, 150 yards on the ground, 3 TDs to spur your running game. Let's talk about this player and your offense.
Yeah, offensively, we scored 35 points. So, and Jaden's is a big part of what we do. Like I said, I feel he's the best running back in in the conference. He's every week. He's performed and came out and have close to 100 yards almost every week, if not over 100 yards. So, we like to run the ball. Obviously with him, but we can't get behind. We got another running back too, Ronald Jenkins that comes in, just kind of a change of pace, a little bit different type of guy. But Jaden is a guy that can, catch the ball in the backfield, can block, can protect. He can do everything. You don't need to take him out of the game. And, I'm just glad that we have him because he's a real bright spot for us offensively.
Okay, Coach, you travel this weekend to Howard. The Bison have lost the last 2 ball games, and they are equally as hungry for a victory as your Hornets are. What are you expecting from this short drive to the nation's capital and your performance there?
Yeah, it's gonna be a hard-fought game, physical game. If you look at Howard, they're aggressive on defense. So we're looking forward to Coach probably pressuring us a lot. That's what he likes to do. And offensively, they got 2 very, very good, talented running backs. They like to run the football, and also Scroggins, puts another element to the run game because you got to account for him in the run game along with their 2 great running backs they have.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Coach, hold on just for a second. Wish you luck as you hit the road this weekend again, going to Howard to play the Bison. Elise, I know you've got some hands raised already for coaches, for Coach Hulls, and let's give it to you now. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Lynn. As a reminder to our media, please use the raise hand feature and remain muted until you're introduced. Our first questions for Coach Hull come from Chris Stevens.
Morning, Coach. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Chris. Doing okay.
Obviously, in a game like that, it's more or less about, number one, getting out of there with the guys you have still healthy, but there's also some teaching opportunities in a game like that. What did you see in the second half that you liked from your football team?
Yeah, I like how they fought. They didn't give up. They played for 60 minutes, got away from us early. Obviously first play of the game. They score on a hitch. But I do like how we came back. We punted the ball on our first series. They fumbled it, and then we came right back and scored on the first play. 7-7. So I like the fight in them. With these guys, we're playing a bunch of young guys. We're playing basically freshmen and sophomores right now because of our injury situation. We're banged up. We're playing with our 3rd and 4th string quarterback, which we did. And I want to give kudos to those guys that came in, didn't flinch, did some good things. That way, we turned the ball over a little bit, which was uncharacteristic of us. That's how we kind of stayed in games, all year. So I do like our fight. They came yesterday, Sunday. We didn't get back till 6 o'clock in the morning. A long drive from Orangeburg. But when we had our meeting at 2 o'clock, we got 100% participation there. Everybody is fired up, ready to go for the next opportunity. Obviously, we're talking about we look in this league the last few years. Whoever won the league had 1 loss. So we still got a lot to fight for and play for. And I think these guys have come out ready to go on Saturday.
As far as those 2 young quarterbacks, have you made a determination? Is this going to be a 2 quarterback system going forward, or one of them has one of them kind of established themselves as the guy you're going to go to moving forward?
Yeah, I think right now both of them will play. We just got to see if obviously Mikel Davis is a starter. It's going to be his job and see how he performs, and if he's doing well, we'll keep playing him. But obviously, Jaden brings a little bit different dimension, because he can run. If you saw the game, he took off and ran. And he's a physical quarterback. So we just gotta kind of design plays around them, knowing that they're young quarterbacks. It's a true freshman in Mikkel and the redshirt freshman and Jaden. So we gotta help them out. Up front, offensive line, we got to be able to run the ball. To help those guys out.
All right, Coach, thanks very much for your time. Best of luck this weekend.
Yeah, thank you.
Our next questions for Coach Hall come from James Hill.
Hey, Coach, how you doing this morning?
Good. Been better, but I'm good. I'm hanging in there.
I feel you. The fourth quarter of the South Carolina State game, very encouraging. You guys put 21 up there. Talk a little bit about the offensive production and what you were able to make happen during that fourth quarter.
Yeah, we put up some points. Like you said, having Jaden Sutton is good for us. So he's a special type of back. So it's an improvement. Like I said, with your third and fourth string quarterback, playing, it was encouraging that both of them, threw touchdown passes. Jaden was able to run the football. It's encouraging, that we can score. I wish we scored a little bit more, early on when we had a couple opportunities too. But it's encouraging that you see that the offense doesn't have any quit. They're going to play hard for 60 minutes, no matter what the score is. And I keep telling them, have blinders on, play for 60 minutes, play physical, and don't look at the scoreboard. And that's kind of what they did. And that's going to help us down the road here, because, I know we can count on the offense to be able to score points and not quit and keep fighting, so it was very encouraging, especially like I said, with our third and fourth string quarterback.
Hey, Coach, next stop, the nation's capital. You ride down to the hill, down 95. When you get there, you'll see the Howard Bison, who won the MEAC last year and went to the Celebration Bowl. Talk a little bit about that program, what you see from them so far. And you guys are building your program up, but what do you see when you look over at Howard?
Howard, I kind of look at our program like Howard. Obviously, I was there for 3 years, and if you look at Howard when I was there, first 2 years we struggled, to build a culture, to build a program, the foundation, all that. Coach Scott's a great coach. He's a great friend of mine, and he helped me in my career. So just a lot of things that he has done and shown with that program. It's kind of what we're doing here. So and in his third year, tied for the conference championship, and in the fourth year, he won it, and now he's in his fifth year. So he's established his program, his culture, what the foundation of his program is. And you can see it. Those guys fight, they play hard, they execute on defense. They fly around, to the football. They cause turnovers. You look, the linebackers are great. They got some big physical linebackers, secondary. Obviously, it runs around their two safeties. Zero, is all conference guy, player of the year. So they got a lot of players there on defense, and offensively. Coach Scott wants to run the football. That's him. Tough, physical up front. They got big, strong, tough offensive linemen, and they got two very good running backs. So there's no change with one's out and the other one comes in. So you got to look at that. So it's a program that's on the rise, and I know that Coach Scott will have those guys ready to go come Saturday. Obviously, coming off a loss, they know they got to win out, just like we have to try to win out. If we want to be relevant in November.
Thank you, Coach. Have a great week.
Thank you, James.
Our next questions for Coach Hall come from Nathaniel Henry Jr.
Good morning, Coach Hall. How you doing?
Hey, good morning.
Great. Nate Henry, Howard University Sports Media. I just have one question. Having watched him up close and personal over the last 4 years, what are some of your impressions of Kenny Gallagher Jr. and his impact on the game?
The best defensive player in the league. You know, he is physical. You know, they love to get him in the run fits, and he comes down and he'll lay the wood on you. You know, big physical, fast, strong kid. You know, NFL prospect. You know, great young man. I've worked with him for 3 years. You know, what you see is what you get, you know, on and off the field. You know, got a great family, comes from a great upbringing. You know, he's like I said, you know, he's a total package, you know, and you know, as a defensive player. So, you know, everything that he has gotten, rewards and all that is well deserved. You know, he's a guy that you have to account for, you know, in your game plan every single play, because they love to move him around and get him in there, like I said, and run fit, and you know, he can cover. You know, he's an all-around player.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
And our next questions come from Andy Walter.
Good morning, Coach.
Hey, good morning, Andy.
Hey, just wanted to check what happened to CJ Henry? Did he get hurt?
Yeah, he was hurt. That's why he wasn't playing.
Okay, but I mean, did he get hurt in practice, or was that from?
No, he got hurt in the game. He got hurt in the Robert Morris game.
Okay, so is there a chance that either he or Marquee will be back this year, or too soon to tell, or?
Too soon to tell. Right now, I have no idea. You know, if either one of them will be back. So right now, you know, our game plan is to play the two freshmen.
Okay, I mean, having a week experience, well, you think it'll definitely help for those two guys?
Yeah, I think any playing time is valuable playing time for them. You know, they're going to get better, you know, the more they play. So I expect them to be, you know, better this week.
And obviously, you know, a tough day for your defense on Saturday. What's kind of the message to them now coming back and trying to bounce back from that?
Yeah, you know, we got to learn from it. You know, from that, it was a tough outing for them, like you said. But you know, even from that loss, you know, we can learn some stuff. You know, so they gotta have short memories right now. You know, let's we watched the film, made the corrections. Now we got to move on. So you know, we got to get better on defense. So we'll make some adjustments and try to put those guys in better positions so they can be successful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That is all of our questions for Coach Hull at this time. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. Delaware State travels to Howard on Saturday, November 2nd at Green Stadium in Washington, D.C. Kickoff is set for 1 p.m., airing on ESPN+. Lynn, back over to you for our next interview.
Thanks so much, Elise. Up next, head coach of the Norfolk State University Spartans, Dawson Odoms. How you doing today, Coach Odoms?
Oh, doing good. Thanks for asking. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. You know, you and the Spartans came out on the short end of every stat line except the two most important ones. Turnovers with 0 and the final score, Coach, as you and the Spartans pick up a 1-point win, 21-20 over the Howard Bison on a sold-out homecoming. Talk about the play of your team, and then let's talk about the play that changed the momentum of the football game.
Well, the biggest thing is we play hard, and this team's been fighting for every second on that play clock and beyond. And the ball was eventually going to bounce our way. I just really felt that way. Just the way we compete. We try not to beat ourselves. We try to play disciplined football, and we try to play really hard and execute at a high level. And I thought we did that on Saturday. I thought it gave us a chance to win a football game. This was a back and forth football game. Me and Coach Scott talked about it before the game, that just get ready for another MEAC battle. And you know, when you're playing the better teams in this conference, you got to put yourself in position to have a chance to win. And I thought our guys did that. And when the game was on the line, I thought we executed the way we needed to come away with a much needed victory. And it was exciting to see. I was happy for these assistant coaches and these players, and hopefully this get ready to jumpstart something special in our program, because I really thought that once we got to this stretch of games, we'll be a tough out, because that's a really good football program and team, and Coach Scott's done a fantastic job, and it could have went either way. We were just fortunate that it went our way, and we're grateful for that, but we felt like we put ourselves in position to have that victory.
Let's talk about the play, the 97-yard kickoff return by Jalen White.
Well, it changed the momentum. You was down. We were down in the football game, and we needed a spark. And that's why those three phases are so important. Somebody got to make a play. And he kind of knew that he had a chance. And once he got the ball and made a couple guys miss, it was great to see him get in the end zone, because that gave them momentum. That shifted the momentum. They was in control, just had scored, and we answered the bell. Now you're down 10, you're down 10-7 at halftime, and you got a chance to really, really feel like you got a chance to win a football game. And I think that belief just kept growing and growing and growing. But that was a game-changing moment in the game from a momentum standpoint.
But this week, Coach, you got to keep that momentum. You got to pack it up, and you got to go to Baltimore, Maryland, to face a very tough Morgan State team that held North Carolina Central to just 16 points. Let's talk about this matchup, because it doesn't stop, does it? Every week, you got to line up against another tough MEAC opponent.
Every week, and we lost a tough one with Morgan a year ago, and they're trying to find their tires in this game this year. You know, they're a really good football team. They're a talented football team. Offensively, they got playmakers. Defensively, you got to know, when you got defensive head coaches, it's a certain kind of style of play that we believe you should play with. That's grit and toughness, and we believe we should play with great run defense and a physicality about you. And they're built that way. And they're a very good, talented football team. And they're going to be tough. They're going to be tough no matter who they play. You watch them against whoever they play, it's like any other game, man. You can't beat yourself. You got to put yourself in the position, and when you get in position, you got to execute. And that's really the message when you're playing against Morgan State. They make you have to play football, and you can ready to go inside this box, and you got to be ready to fight in this box for 60 minutes and beyond against a really gritty football team.
Coach, I wish you nothing but the best as you and the Spartans seek to make it 2 in a row in MEAC play. Elise, you've got it.
Thank you, Lynn. As a reminder to our media, please use the raise hand feature and remain muted until you are introduced. Our first questions for Coach Odoms come from James Hill.
Hey, Coach, I hope you and everybody in the Spartans Nation are well. How are you, sir?
Doing great. Thank you for asking me. How you doing?
I'm blessed. Mr. Evans, Mr. King, and also the other gentleman, Mr. White. Those three gentlemen provided some offense. Among others, your entire team chipped in, but talk a little bit about those guys and those plays that were made to help spark a victory.
Well, I thought we had, the running back room had to run with a physicality in it. But that doesn't happen without that offensive line. I thought our offensive line played well, but I do think our running backs ran behind their pads. They was okay with 3 and 4 yards. They was okay with those tough yards, and eventually the big play would come. But that's been our teaching points throughout this year, is that be okay with 3. The 80-yard run to come, the 20 yards to come, but be okay with getting 3, putting them shoulder pads down, and run with a physicality, and that wears on the football team. And when we get in the fourth quarter, because our backs are not small, they're good sized backs. They run behind their pads, and all 3 of those guys made a contribution for the success of this team to have success on Saturday.
Coach, you've built this program, Kerry Wood, Chop Water. You've had this team on the brink of getting to Atlanta in the past, a few seasons ago when South Carolina played there. South Carolina State. But this year you have another opportunity. You go up to Morgan. Just talk a little bit about the MEAC way, and it's 1 weekend at a time, and everybody's competitive with the parity.
Well, it's emotional swings. We played 12 games, so we had the first 4, the middle 4, and then win the last 4. So, and that's kind of how we chopped our season up, and where you want to be, how you want to be playing. And I always say you got to be peaking at the right time. You just have to get fortunate. You got to be doing all those little things right, your attention to detail. But one thing you got to be able to do is that you got to play this game the way it's supposed to be played. And you can't worry about the scoreboard. You can't worry about what's next. I think this college football season has shown you that no matter what, long as time on the clock, you got a chance. The Washington Redskins won the game yesterday. I don't think, the odds makers believe they had a chance at winning, but long as time on the clock and you believe, then you always got a chance to win. And that's the biggest thing that we're facing when it comes to the mental development of today's players is having belief no matter what the circumstances present. And when you can get your football team to that point, then winning is going to find you because they always believe that no matter what, we got a chance to win. And that's how you have to play the MEAC games. You got to forget about last week because that was good enough for last week. That ain't good enough for this week. What we did last week is not good enough to go on the road and beat Morgan State. It won't work. It's a whole new set of challenges, different circumstances, and you got to keep growing in your mentality, and your mentality got to go to the next level. If we can do that, we got a chance for success on Saturday.
Thank you, Coach. Have a good trip up to Baltimore.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Our next questions for Coach Odoms come from Daryl.
Coach Odom, how you doing this morning?
Doing great. Daryl, what's your last name?
Duval, I'm sorry.
Is
Duval
what?
with Comedy Sports, man. I just want to
Okay.
say congratulations on your win this weekend. You just reiterated, never give up. That's never your kids never give up. Y'all, that game was a real good game going back and forth. And then you had your kickoff return. And so, right now you are 2 spots away from being number 1 in the MEAC conference. How does your kids feel about that, your students?
Well, we don't even talk about it. They know that the next opportunity is Morgan State. That's all we can focus on. And I don't know no other way. You'll hear of other people say the same thing. You can't worry about that. We can't control nothing but what happens this Saturday. And the only way we can be great is that our mind got to be great where our feet are in the moment. And the moment is now. You got to play football. You can't worry about where you are, where you stand, because that can change at any moment if you're not prepared for the moment that you're in. So our focus is on a really good Morgan State football team. And once that game is over, we'll figure out what's next. But at the end of the day, you got to be prepared to go play against a really good football team that know that they missed some opportunities. They left some plays out on the field. They feel like had they done some things a little bit differently, then they could have came out of Durham with a win. And I think in this conference, that's every week. You can look back at the games and be like a few plays here, a mental lapse here, a turnover here. Those things affect the football game. So our mindset has to be on going up there and playing really, really well and giving ourselves a chance to win a football game.
Well, thank you for that. Good luck this coming weekend. Again, I tagline never give up because you all don't give up. And again, looking at the game this past weekend, the kids had a real good time. That was a game. And that kickoff return, it's so funny. One of the kids had his hand up. I don't know which kid was that who had his hand up and said it was a touchdown as he was running down past that.
Yeah.
So
no, it was good excitement,
yes.
And it's just roller coaster. It's a roller coaster environment every week. And no matter who you play, you got to have your guys ready to play. And the biggest things is the mental challenges from week to week. Whether you win, whether you lose, it's all about the next week and what you got to do to get your football team prepared to play. And we know that going up there playing them after this tough game against North Carolina Central, you got to regroup, you got to refocus, and you got to get yourself ready to play. And that's where your leadership got to step up. That's where your experience got to step up. And that's where your belief got to step up in knowing what your mission is. And we got to get that through this week, and we got to go play lights out to give ourselves a chance to win a football game in Baltimore.
Again, good luck.
Thank you.
That is all of our questions for Coach Odoms at this time. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Always a pleasure. Behold the green and gold.
Norfolk State will face Morgan State on Saturday, November 2nd at Hughes Stadium in Baltimore, Maryland. Kickoff is set for 1 p.m., airing on ESPN+. Lynn, over to you for our next interview.
Thanks so much, Elise. Coming up now is the head coach of the South Carolina State Bulldogs, Chennis Berry. Your first homecoming win as the Bulldog head coach. Your team put on a dominant performance against Delaware State, 69-35, 49 first half points, coach. Let's talk about the Bulldogs and the show at homecoming in Orangeburg.
Well, first of all, good morning, Lynn. Hope all is well. It's a great homecoming environment, first and foremost. You know, it was a lot of supporters came out to support and see the Bulldogs play. So we're very, very grateful for that. And we're grateful to come out of there with a win. You know, that was our first MEAC game. So we wanted to play, you know, a complete game of football. You know, my challenge to our team was, let's focus on the process over the outcome. Let's fall in love with the process. That's all we talk about around here at South Carolina State. And we did just that. And that's just by going 1-0 every day. And good things will happen if you continue to do that. But I thought our young men were prepared. They were ready to rock and roll. They obviously were excited with the environment that we had out there this past Saturday. So it's a great day, you know, when you can have a victory like that. And all our guys got a chance to play. You know, I told our guys to have, obviously, to have a 30-more-minute mindset, all right, 0-0, like we all say at half. But, you know, all in all, you know, I thought we handled situation football well. And after the second drive of the third quarter, we got a chance to play a lot of our guys. You know, with family and friends coming in from out of town, you know, you want to get a chance to guys that typically don't play to get an opportunity to go play. So they played a lot of football. I think we put our guys in mostly with about 11 minutes left in the third quarter. So they got a chance to play the third and fourth quarter. So it was grateful to see those guys play and to see the excitement for the guys that typically play all the time, cheer on the guys that don't typically play. I thought that was team bonding that brought us closer together.
Coach, you talk about Eric Phoenix. You got to talk about him right now. 341 yards and 4 touchdowns this week. He has been your trigger man and the source of consistency for your offense throughout the season. Let's talk about the leadership of this young man.
Eric Phoenix is special, and I'm grateful that he's in our program. You know, and you know, he and I having a relationship from our past institution, and him having a good understanding of what we do offensively. And you know, we had a long sit down last week and just focused on him just taking what the defense gives him. I mean, he's a talented kid. He's a true dual threat. I mean, he can pass the football. He can run the football, and he's very cerebral. Like we don't have to limit what we do offensively because he takes it all in. He's kind of a one-time guy. You tell him one time, he's got it. And he's got a great football IQ. So I thought he did a good job of just doing what we actually do every week, just be the point guard of our offense. Because we truly feel like we have some explosive guys on the perimeter in the backfield as well as at tight end. So, you know, when you get in a situation like that, your job is to just get the ball to the playmakers and just make sure you don't turn it over. So that's what he's been doing. He did a great job. He made some accurate throws. He did some good things in terms of running the ball, in terms of quarterback runs as well. So I think he had a really good game and a very, very efficient football game.
Coach, 4 in a row now. This winning streak is done a lot for the Bulldog Nation and the Bulldogs in particular, but you've got a short week now to be a very tough opponent coming to town, North Carolina Central, for a Thursday night game, Halloween affair in Orangeburg, South Carolina. Let's talk about this short week of preparation and the challenge of playing such a tough opponent.
Well, no doubt about it. They're definitely a tough opponent, a physical football team we're getting ready to face, led by Coach Trey Oliver. My God. You know, we're really good friends. We worked together before. So I know he's going to have his team ready to play. More than anything, you're going to see a physical football team. But, you know, when you're talking about a short week, you know, it's challenges in itself And, when you're coming out of homecoming, we told our guys to just focus on the now mindset, no opportunity wasted. And we went out there and played the game, and, the game lasted quite some time. So, we want them to enjoy the moment. Winning is hard. So we wanted them to enjoy homecoming, enjoy their families and friends and loved ones. But they had to refocus themselves to come right back on Sunday and get a practice in. And we got a good spirited practice, great meeting. Guys were locked in, they're focused. They understand the urgency of now. Again, I keep saying that acronym now, there's no opportunity wasted. And they understand the urgency of it as well. We're in MEAC play. So we came in with great meetings, great practice last night. Guys were locked in, and we'll go for the rest of the week. Guys will be locked in on today. What we did a little bit differently that we typically practice in the mornings. All right, but I understand how the body clock works. So we've moved our practice to the evenings now, because it's been being a 7:30 kickoff. We don't want those bodies getting up at 5 in the morning to practice at 6 a.m. And then, about 7:30 is usually nap time. Well, now we're going to kind of switch that body around. And we went last night, late practice. We're going to go tonight late, and we're going to go Tuesday night late as well. And then Wednesday we'll have our typically like we do on Fridays. And then we'll get ready to rock and roll against a good North Carolina Central football team on Thursday.
Coach, the whole nation is going to be watching this Thursday night on ESPN2. We wish you and the Bulldogs the best of luck and see if you can make it 5 in a row. So hold on, Elise. It's on you now.
Thank you, Lynn. As a reminder to our media, please use the raise hand feature and remain muted until you're introduced. Our first questions for Coach Barry come from James Hill.
Coach, how are you, sir?
James, I'm well. How you doing today?
I'm blessed. You have some gentlemen, Mr. Phoenix, Mr. Duhart, and Mr. High, among others, your entire team. But talk about their contribution, and you guys put up 28 in the first quarter in that game.
Well, talented individuals. And, I tell you what, I'm grateful to have all of those guys on our football team. And the prior relationship with those guys, all three of those young men came with me from the last institution I was at. And, I have a relationship with them, not only with the player, but with their families as well. There's a love and there's a bond there, and they want to play well, and they're talented individuals. So I'm grateful to have Eric Phoenix. We've already kind of talked about him. He's doing some really good things, and I'm grateful that he's our quarterback. Caden High is the real deal. Caden High is a special talent. He's from a good Grayson high school football team in Georgia, so he was used to winning before I got him at the last institution. He was just a true freshman for us last year, and he's a true sophomore. He's another guy that's very cerebral. I mean, you tell him one time, he has it. He's smart. He's very competitive. He's tough. He's just a guy that we find ways to get him football. And then DeAndre Duhart, he's a physical downhill running back. I mean, he doesn't say many words. He's a man of few words, but, he plays very violently out there on that football field. Not only running the football, everybody sees that, but he's a great pass protector as well, and he's a great young man. So the prior relationships definitely help. They've just been able to add to what we had already. Coach Pugh didn't lead a covered bear. I mean, it's players here. Some players here. And like I say, I always thank Coach Pugh every time I see him because there's a winning culture around here. And I was just able to add a few more to what we already had to be able to build something special.
Coach, Thursday night football, everybody in America and on this earth, for that matter, can watch the MEAC. When you look at South Carolina State as well as North Carolina Central. And both of these teams are winners of the Celebration Bowl in the last 2 out of 3 seasons. But talk about this game, a big game, and it makes for a really good opportunity.
Well, it should be fun. It should be fun first and foremost. I always tell our team, October, got to be playing our best ball. October, we got to be rolling, hitting on all cylinders so we can make it in November to remember. And, our young men are focused on that. They understand the urgency of now. I mean, more than anything, to be able to have an opportunity to play on the national stage. And, we know that a lot of people will be watching them, but it's about the young men that are out there playing. I tell them all the time, the only difference between practice and game day, there's just going to be more people watching. But, with this game, it's going to be a whole lot of people watching. So, but it's not about all that, the outside, the distractions and things of that nature. We got to focus on the moment. And we have a really good football team that's coming in here. I mean, when you watch North Carolina Central on film, I mean, they're good on all 3 phases, offensively, defensively, special teams. There's a lot of similarities to what we do. as well. You know, with Trey and I working together at the last at Southern University, I also worked with his offensive coordinator, Matt Leone, at Southern University as well. He was my quarterback coach when we were there. So, you know, they kind of know us. We kind of know them. So it's going to come down to players making plays. The game comes down to players. It doesn't come down to plays. You know, everybody get kind of caught up in plays. Those plays are good, but it's about the players. And we want to make sure that our players are locked and loaded on the task at hand. And we're going against a really good football team. When you look at them defensively, I mean, they're great on all three levels. I mean, they have an unbelievable, talented, twitchy defensive line. Their linebackers are solid. I mean, they run around and they do some really good things. And their secondary does a good job of communicating. First of all, they have great eyes. They got great eye discipline, things of that nature. And then offensively, with Walker Harris, man, he can spin it with the best of them. I mean, he's very smart. He does a good job of delivering the football. Jamari Taylor, the running back, man, he can dot the I, cross the T. They're talented, wide. They have a little slot receiver that's good in the number 6, and then number 88. He can take the cover off the roof. So, you know, all in all, you know, their offensive line does a good job as well. And, you know, it's going to be a physical football game. We have to be ready, and our young men will be prepared. They know what's at stake, and we're just focusing on the process. Again, fall in love with the process more than outcome. We're surrendering the outcome and fall in love with the process of becoming great.
All right, Coach. Have a blessed week. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. God bless you.
Our next questions for Coach Barry come from Chris Stevens.
Morning, Coach. How are you?
Chris, how you doing this morning?
Pretty good. Obviously, you know, with a short week, things get moved up, like I asked Coach Oliver earlier in the conference. But how do you prepare your guys? I mean, you mentioned the body clock thing, which I thought was a great idea. But just how do you get these guys? I mean, from a competitive standpoint, they're already ready. But what are some other things you want them to work on during this short week? You know, before Central comes to town.
Well, you know, it's kind of, you get to this time of the year. I mean, it's a lot of guys banged up. You know, I mean, at this time of the year, really, this is week 8, but it's really week 10 because we've had 2 bye weeks. So, you know, it's been a long season thus far. So we have to be smart on how we practice. We want to be a lot of good on good periods. You know, I think, you know, that really helps us. I mean, we get out there good on good. So when we get into the game, the speed of the game doesn't change. So we have different periods. Now, there's periods where we go against the scouts, but a lot of our practices are good on good because we want to get the tempo and making sure guys are locked and loaded with their task at hand. But, you know, there is challenges to a short week, but we knew this coming in.
And just talking about,
go ahead. Sorry,
it must be my Wi-Fi. Xfinity counts your days. But, you know, just getting to this point, I mean, expectations and reality rarely meet in this world. But right now, this is a game that's going to go a long way to determining who ends up in Atlanta on December 14th. Is it challenging to not look too far ahead in that respect, or have you guys started to allow yourselves the possibility to think that this could be possible for this team this year?
See, one thing we'll figure out about our program, we don't even mention Atlanta. You know, we just fall in love with the process. I mean, honestly, we don't. We talk about it the very first day of training camp. Then after that, we don't even talk about Atlanta. We just focus on now. No opportunity wasted. You keep hearing that acronym because this is an opportunity for us. So, you know, our guys understand the want to know philosophy. Anybody that knows me, any program that I've ever had, we always talk about just going 1-0 today. If we do that, we like our chances when we get to game day.
And lastly, you and Coach Oliver have traveled down many roads together before. You guys are young, successful coaches. How do you guys do you guys even think about, you know, how you guys might be influencing the next generation of coaches? Because football, as from a player standpoint, doesn't always last, but guys always come back to the game in some respects, you know, whether they coach or anything else. Have you guys thought much about how you guys could be influencing the next generation of HBCU coaches?
And, you know, that's a great question. And I really, I'm glad you asked that because, you know, you just got to stay patient through the process, man, you know, and bloom where you're planted. Be where your feet are. Don't worry about the next job, you know, because if God already has for you what he has for you, you know, no man can take it away. You just got to stay faithful through the process. And he and I are both true HBCU guys. We went to HBCUs. We've been HBCU coaches our whole entire career, but we're in 2 great institutions, 2 jobs that I'm sure he loves his job. I love the job that I have, and just be patient through the process. And, you know, just like I say, just bloom where you're planted, man. Be the best you can be where you are, because if you do good where you are, people will notice and people will watch. So, you know, I'm glad to see the success that he's having, and I'm sure he's the same. We're friends. We're friends before anything. And at the end of the day, when this game is over, we'll continue to be friends. So it'll be fun. I'm excited about it all. But, he's doing some good things, and we're trying to build our program the right way here. So, HBC football is in good footing.
All right, Coach, thanks very much for your time as always. Best of luck this weekend.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Our next questions for Coach Barry come from Dwayne Nash.
Good morning, Coach Dwayne Nash from the Yard HBCU Sports and Hero Sports. How are you this morning?
Good morning. How are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. With someone that you have such a relationship with as Coach Oliver, how easy or is it fun preparing to coach against Coach Oliver?
Well, there's definitely nothing easy about it. I mean, not at all easy. I mean, you're talking about a really, really good football team. But, it's a relationship, man. Relationships will go farther than this game will ever take us, man. It's just relationships in general, man. And, I'm happy the success he's having, and I'm sure he's pulling for me as well, other than on game day when we play each other. So, all in all, it's not easy. It's fun. It's definitely fun. Because if you know anything about Trey don't hold his tongue now. And we'll have some conversations, I'm sure, after this. But Trey and I, like I say, we're friends, and we've worked together. We've had some battles and practices and spring balls and things of that nature. So there's a lot of familiarity with each other. And, like he kind of said earlier, there is definitely you just like looking in the mirror when you look at both football teams.
And it's kind of ironic that you bring that up. Look in the mirror. Both of you guys are coming off of currently on win streaks right now. I actually asked this question of Coach Oliver. I'll ask you the same question. I heard a commentator say this weekend that it's easier to coach off of a loss than during a win streak. Do you agree with that sentiment?
Man, I don't know who told you that, but nobody ain't trying to lose, man. Nobody trying to take no L's, man. It's easier to make corrections because we got a lot of corrections that we need to make, even from the victory we just had. But it's good to make corrections after a victory. There's been some games, there's been some tight games that we've had this year. But we're grateful when we're on the winning side. I always say winning is hard. We enjoy winning. There's 50% of the teams in America that won this past weekend, and 50% of the teams that lost. Whether you lost by 1 or you lost by 50, or you won by 1 or you won by 50, regardless of what, we want to win. So, winning is important. And because we're not only teaching these young men about the game, winning in the game of football, but we winning in life too. So in life, as a man, when you're raising your son and your daughter, you're talking about winning. It's never about, just playing the game. No, you play the game to win. So winning is the mindset, and that's what we're all about.
All right. Thanks so much, Coach. Good luck this Thursday.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
And our next questions for Coach Barry come from Daryl Duvall.
Hey, Coach, this is Daryl Duvall from Power U Sports, man. I just want to say congratulations on that win. But Coach Odom, I said, one of the things is just like you said, never give up. Never give up. You don't want that L on you. You want that win. And I want to just say, you all are 1 and 2 is going against each other this weekend. Thursday, Halloween. So it's going to be interesting. 1 and 2. And both of you all have been to the MEAC conference. How do you guys feel about being in that position?
I couldn't hear you, man. It really chopped up toward the end.
You couldn't. Did you?
The beginning part, just in the end part.
Okay. How do you guys feel about now being in that position of being 1 and 2 going against each other, and just one step away from getting to the next conference again?
Well, first of all, good morning. But we just focus on, honestly, we're not looking down the line. I mean, it's tough to look down the line when you're looking at a really, really good football team that's coming here in Orangeburg, man. So, we're focused on North Carolina Central. They're real coached. I mean, more than anything, you can see guys that are very, very detailed and sound and disciplined. They play disciplined football. So we can only focus on right now and getting ready for a good football team. And they're not only good on offense and defense, they're good on special teams as well. So, our coaches are right now, we're in the lab trying to figure it out to put our young men in the best position to be successful. Like I said earlier, it's not about the plays, it's about the players. So we have to find ways to get our players playing at a high level by giving them game plans that they can succeed in, things that we do well, and and just try to put ourselves in a position to be successful on Thursday night.
Well, thank you, sir. Good, Coach. Good luck this weekend. This Thursday. I'm sorry, I keep on saying Halloween. I forget. Halloween is the 31st, man. We couldn't get ready to go into November. November Madness. So good luck this Thursday. And hey, 1 and 2. It's gonna be a good game. Thursday night, Halloween.
Thank you.
That concludes all of our media questions for Coach Berry at this time. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Have a good day. Take care.
You as well, Coach. Thank you. South Carolina State hosts North Carolina Central on Thursday, October 31st at Oliver C. Dawson Stadium in Orangeburg, South Carolina. Kickoff is set for 7:30 p.m., broadcasting on ESPN2. Lynn, back over to you for our next interview.
Thanks so much, Elise. We've had a lot to share this morning as we prepare to wrap up week number 10 here on our call. We're going to welcome Coach Damon Wilson from the Morgan State Bears. Coach, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing good, Lynn. How about yourself?
I'm doing good, Coach. Last week, you and both Coach Oliver talked about how physical this football game was going to be. The top scoring offense going against the defense in the league, and that's how it played out. Your team played valiantly against a very tough Central team, and you held the top scoring offense to just 16 points. But you just couldn't generate any offense. Let's talk about the Bears and this performance on the road in a hostile environment. You lose it 16-7 in Durham.
Like you said, great environment, man, for homecoming, and I think two really good football teams. We were going against the top 25 FCS program, and I think that first half was really, really good football. A defensive half, I think it was 0-0 first quarter. They ended up scoring the second quarter, took a 7-0 lead on us, but it was tough. And their defense pretty much stopped our run game early on in the ball game. We were able to get some things going later. But I think our defensive unit and special teams unit played well enough to win the ball game. But we have to find a way to punch the ball in. We had a good drive going, and we ended up having a turnover in high red zone area, which could have led to some points. But outside of that, man, I think the guys fought well. But it's no more victories in football. You want to come out and had an opportunity to win that ball game. But they're a very good football team.
Yeah, Coach, defensively, you're consistent week in and week out. What will it take offensively and special teams wise for you to really enjoy that same level of consistent success to stack performances week in and week out?
I think you just said it, just being consistent. We haven't been consistent offensively throughout the year. I mean, you can put on a number of factors, but we don't make excuses. We got some youth, we got some guys hurt. That's next man up. At the end of the day, we got to get it done, find a way to get it done. The guys showed up yesterday and worked. I heard 3 other coaches mention about practicing on Sunday. We had our shells on yesterday as well, practicing and making sure we're correcting some of the mistakes we made on Saturday to prepare for a very good Norfolk State football team.
Yeah, and they come to town. The Spartans come to town off of a thrilling 1-point win over Howard in a game that shocked a lot of people. But Norfolk State has been a program much like yours, just on the verge of just exploding. So let's talk about this matchup and what are you going to do to stop them from exploding in Baltimore this Saturday?
Once again, I have to be physical. Ice up and get physical. Coach Odoms is a downhill running type coach. He's want to be physical up front. O-line, D-line play is going to be really important. We're going to have to make sure we play sound special teams. They got a special returner back there, and he showed this past week against Howard. So we must be hitting on all 3 phases going into this game. My first 2 years in the conference, Coach Odoms and I have had some games down to the wire. The first year as well as last year. So, I'm anticipating a very physical football game and a very well-coached football game. These guys have had some tough ball games, but they're a good team, and they're going to be here ready to roll come Saturday at 1.
Okay. Coach, hold on just for a minute. We wish you the best of luck at home this week.
Yes, sir.
Our
weekend as you prepare for the Spartans to come to town. Elise?
Thank you, Lynn. As a reminder to our media, please use the raise hand feature and remain muted until you're introduced. Our first questions for Coach Wilson come from James Hill.
Coach, how you doing this morning? I hope you and everybody in Baltimore are well.
I'm doing good, Ms. Hill. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much. The parity. in the MEAC. The teams are competitive and everybody's good, but just talk a little bit about that and how important it is to try to win games when you can look over and see another ball club that's very talented.
I mean, like you said, it's no weeks off as a coach, and you have to put your best foot forward every week. You have to have a short memory. If you're coming off a loss, you got to get really focused right back up, get ready for your next challenge. But it's extremely a lot of parity in the conference, and that's a good thing. I think there's a lot of good coaches in the conference, and these guys are preparing their teams for battle each week after coming out of very competitive non-conference schedule play. So I really like this, the place where MEAC football is right now, and the coaches that are in the conference. Once again, there's no easy week, that's for sure.
Hey, Coach, like my mom says, there's no place like home. Talk a little bit about Morgan. You have an opportunity to play in front of friends and family and in the Morgan Nation, home of the Bears. Talk a little bit about that opportunity as the Spartans come in, and they'll be ready to play.
Yeah, well, we need everyone to show up this weekend. You know, last game we had here, we had a nice crowd. Looking forward to that same thing this upcoming week against a conference opponent. Our last game was a non-conference opponent here, so I'm looking for folks to show up and support our football team. But help us as we're going to need some additional assistance playing a good Norfolk team. So we're really excited about that. We like playing at home. As you mentioned, give our student athletes an opportunity to play in front of their family and friends, and get the student body involved as well.
Thank you, sir. Have a great week.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Our next questions for Coach Wilson come from Dwayne Nash.
Good morning, Coach. Dwayne Nash from the Yard HBCU Sports and Hero Sports. How are you this morning?
I'm doing good, Mr. Nash. How about yourself?
Doing pretty good. Coach, you kind of touched on it a little bit earlier. Coach Oldham seems to give you fits since you've been there at Morgan State, and it actually took a late fourth quarter surge for you to steal the victory from him last season. What is it about Coach Oldham's and his coaching style that makes it so difficult for you to coach again?
He's a good football coach. He's a guy that led a Southern program to a lot of success, and also is doing the same thing at Norfolk. Once again, man, you don't have a whole lot of first year, second year coaches in this conference. You have some coaches that have a wealth of knowledge, understand how to motivate, and how to develop talent, and that's what Coach Oldham's is. And it's going to be a challenge for our program as well as our coaching staff to make sure our guys are prepared to play on Saturday against not just a good football team, but also a well-coached team.
And Coach, I've already asked the other coaches, or a couple of other coaches about this. I thought I'd go ahead and bring it up to you as well. Throughout your coaching career, you've been on both sides of this. I heard a commentator say this weekend that it's easier to coach after a loss than it is to coach during a win streak. What are your thoughts about that?
I think you might have misheard. I don't think I don't think the commentator. I think you may have misheard that particular statement because as coaches mentioned before me, man, you don't want to correct after a loss. You want to go into this game and win and win and win and make corrections after win. That's when you have their attention. But yeah, so I'm a follow suit with the other coaches that we want to correct after win, not after loss.
Well, I don't know this commentator's coaching credentials, but I thought I'd ask you coaches because it sounded a little weird to me. It's a possibility I may have misheard that, but that's all right. Coach, you have a good week this week, and good luck this week against Coach Oldham's.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right.
Our next questions for Coach Wilson come from Kayla Sleazy.
Hi, Coach. Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm good, Miss Kayla. How are you?
I'm doing well. I wanted to ask you about Elijah Williams making a big impact for you all defensively, just one sack away from being the all-time sack leader at Morgan. How have you seen him make an impact for your team, but also encourage the other players to step up as well during this really important part of your season?
Well, I appreciate you sharing that information. I had no idea, but he's a hell of a football player and a hell of a person. I mean, he's a guy, and I've been in this thing some years now. He doesn't want to miss a practice. He doesn't want to miss a rep. He's the first in meetings. Doesn't complain. He's great to be around. He's a fun guy. But when you step between the lines, he's nothing but all business. And I think he's, if not the best, one of the best football players in FCS, not just in the MEAC. And I think he has a lot of football left ahead of him once he finishes playing days here at Morgan. And that's great to hear that he has an opportunity to be the all-time sack leader.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Coach, and best of luck.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Our next questions for Coach Wilson come from Ty Miller.
Hey, Coach Wilson, good morning to you. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Ty.
Coach, I wanted to follow up on Kayla's question, and I wanted to ask about Elijah Williams as well. What are the scouts saying about him and his prospects? I know you mentioned that he does have the opportunity possibly to play on the next level. What are the scouts saying that you've heard?
Well, they love his motor. You know, we've been very fortunate. We've had 26 out of the 32 NFL teams come to practice and/or games. There hasn't been a practice where you don't have 2 or 3 scouts there, which is great. You know, getting great exposure. And the reason they're here is to see him. You know, he's a guy that I think is deserving of an opportunity. He's a guy that's a real cerebral football player. He was an outside linebacker when we first got here, and we bumped him down to a defensive lineman. He has the ability to get on the board and draw it up on the board. He can talk the game, really high football IQ, and those are some of the things they like about him. You know, he may not be the 6'6" guy, but he's 6'3", and he's going to give you everything he has for the full 60 minutes, and that's something that's hard to overlook.
Hey, Coach, your defense seems to have the ability to keep you in games. And I think you've been asked about your offense, but what is it about your defense that plays so well week in and week out that allows you a chance to win games in the fourth quarter?
I think Coach Sewell and the defensive staff do a great job, you know, preparing the guys, making the necessary in-game adjustments, as well as, you know, going into the ball game. We understand where our, I won't say our bread is buttered. We understand we have some younger guys offensively that are on the field right now. And we understand we have to do certain things to give us a chance to win. And, you know, and defensively, they understand that they have an obligation. And like, as you mentioned, just to give us a chance to be in the ball game and win the ball game in the fourth quarter until we start hitting all phases offensively. That's what we have to do. You know, Coach Sewell and I have been together for probably almost 20 years now. And, you know, we've had some very explosive offenses. We've had some subpar defenses, if you will. We have some very good defenses. So, you know, it's definitely a situation where they understand what their responsibility is as the defensive side of the ball. And I think him and the coaching staff do a good job, you know, preparing those guys week in and week out.
All right. Thank you, Coach. Good luck this weekend against Norfolk State.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
That concludes all of the media questions for Coach Wilson at this time. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Morgan State hosts Norfolk State on Saturday, November 2nd at Hughes Stadium in Baltimore, Maryland. Kickoff is set for 1 p.m., airing on ESPN+. This concludes the weekly MEAC football video coaches call. Before the end of the conference, we would like to thank all that assisted and participated in today's video conference. The MEAC would also like to thank its corporate partners for their continued support of the conference and its Elite 8 member institutions. As a reminder, the next video conference is next Monday, November 4th at 10 a.m. For more information on MEAC football and other sponsored sports, visit meacsports.com or follow the MEAC on social media at MEAC Sports on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, and Threads. Thank you for tuning in to this week's MEAC Football Coaches Video Conference, and have a great football week.